Fred Mangol, Captain, U.S. Navy, retired. I said we did things differently on that ship. One of the things, we really set some records. When we loaded the ship the first time, it took over 24 hours to load all the rockets, 5-inch and 40 millimeters. We had, when the rockets came, you had to completely build them. They were in pieces. So you had to mate the projectiles to the rocket motors, and you had to set up the fuses and then put them on the projectiles. We finally decided everybody should have a job, and we put the stewards in charge of the fuses. By the time we had been at this for a couple months, we could do it in 12 hours. And even the officers got involved, and the chiefs. Everybody on the ship was involved in loading out the ship. When we had our admin inspection later on, we got the highest score that I have ever seen on an admin inspection in the Navy. We got a 96.6. I have never seen one that high. We got the Division E for efficiency, we got the Division E for gunnery, and that was just the start. One of the things I noticed when I was a gunnery officer on the destroyer was that you were always supposed to put an officer on the director, a gunnery director. And I think the reason for that was it was more like CYA, cover your ass. If anything ever went wrong, you could point at the officer. The only problem with that is officers weren't always had the best eyesight. And sure enough, when I got to St. Francis River, I said, you know, why don't we put the person with the best eyesight on the director? And by the time we got done with the ship, we were using a second-class petty officer on the forward director, and that worked so much better. His eyesight was far superior to any of the other officers. And we did other things like I sent off messages saying, you know, we have very few people on this ship. We only have 7 officers, and they're overloaded, particularly with all the traffic we get for crypto and everything. Why can't I use a senior petty officer to handle classified publications? It's an administrative task. He ought to be able to handle that. And he said, sure, go ahead. We did it. He came through the admin inspection 100%. And the Commodore hated it, but he was old school. And so what, you know? So let me tell you how it all came out. We set every naval gunfire record for the Vietnam War for the 16 months we were on the gun line. In 1966 and 1967, the St. Francis River was the Pacific Amphibious Force Ship of the Year. And because we chopped to the cruiser destroyer force when we deployed to Vietnam, in 1967, we were also the Cruiser Destroyer Force Ship of the Year. In 1966 and 67, we won the Top Gun Award for all ships in South Vietnam as awarded by the Anglo Gun Spotters in Vietnam. In 1967, we were the 7th Fleet Ship of the Year. That meant that we were better than all the carriers, etc. In 1967, we were our Navy magazine #2 Ship of the Year. The only reason we were #1 was because LBJ had to find a reason for naming his aide an admiral. And lastly, and most importantly, in 1967, the St. Francis River was given the Marjorie Sterrett Battleship Award for the #1 operational ship in the U.S. Navy out of 965 ships in the Navy. I think it was that we trusted the sailors to a degree. I mean, there were times when we didn't, but we trusted the sailors and the officers on that ship to do more than you would on a normal ship. And we had to, because we were going into combat. And my feeling was you never knew when we were going to take damage. We were very lucky.